Holy packs. All right, it's been a while since I've made a video. Got some interesting things to show. You may be asking, Paulie Packs, where have you been? You've been leaving us hanging for a while. Well, let me show you what I've been up to recently. So I put together my collection and I am getting it ready for a large sale. So I have everything broken out, completed sets over here, some packs and things, oddball stuff, and then some vintage hockey, autographs, you know, Pokemon or random miscellaneous non-sport stuff. I got player lots all up in here, and then some modern stuff to football, incomplete sets over here. So I actually might just take those apart and make more player lots out of them. Some magazines over there, junk wax over there, and then coming up to more vintage things over here, some other player lots that I put together for a sale, and then we're back to what I got to show you today. So I am putting my collection together because I am trying to just sell things. I've been in sell mode more than buy mode this last couple months. So I'm trying to like empty out my inventory. And why am I doing that? Well, just so I can make some money and then start all over again and build it all up. So with this collection that I've been doing, so Wax Packs is the one who kind of got me back into the hobby and doing this stuff. And I've had some interesting cards since coming back into the hobby through COVID. I've been able to get a lot of the things that I've never had before, or those you know, key cards. Is like when you're as a kid, like you're like, I can never obtain that card. So I've had some very, very interesting ones. Earlier this year, I did a couple of videos about one of my father's friends had a collection that he wanted me to sell for him. And in that collection was all 1960s cards. I think it was the years 65 through 69, if I remember it correctly. And so I was able to take a few of those cards. I looked at a bunch of the cards out of those sets, and these were the ones that I thought were the best and probably were worth the grading. So finally, after keeping them aside for a while, I was kind of debating, you know, with SGC and PSA kind of going through their whole merger and acquisition. I was kind of torn about what should I do, like what should I even grade it at. I didn't want to go through PSA because I didn't trust their grading process. I've always kind of trusted SGC, but then once it got bought out by PSA, I wasn't sure what to do. So in the process of selling these cards, somebody actually told me about the Card Vault, which is, if you're, it's a Tom Brady owned thing, but I think he does it with the Crafts. I'm not sure. But there's a store at Patriot Place in Foxborough, Massachusetts. So they're right there near Foxborough Stadium where the Patriots play. I think they have another store maybe in Boston, and then one in like Mohegan Sun in Connecticut at a casino. I'm not 100% sure, but 100% sure that they have it in Foxborough. But what somebody told me was that you can take your cards there and they would submit it for you for the grading. And they would utilize whatever platform you wanted, SGC, PSA, or CGC, whoever. And when talking with the guy there, I brought these cards in to get graded, and he said, I was thinking PSA, but with the costs and the variations, he said SGC would still be the way to go, because it would be $19 all in per card to do it with SGC. So there wouldn't be any upcharges depending on the grade. You know, you're still gonna get the nice tuxedo slab, and they're still gonna give you that nice vintage grade because they still have a lot of their same graders there. So they're pretty consistent, and I've always thought SGC had been consistent with their grading. So it made sense. So $154 all in, I got 8 cards graded. So that they took care of the shipping, they took care of putting it together, they took care of handling the process of the order. It took a little while. I think in total time it was somewhere between 8 to 9 weeks. So total time being when I dropped these cards off at the Card Vault, paid for it, they put it together, put it in with an order, shipped it over to SGC, they went through their thing, and then shipped it back, and I got the cards. So I got the cards. They came in on Monday of this week, and I picked them up yesterday. Only downside is I don't, because it's part of a group order, you know, they just put a rubber band over it and then share it, you know, send it like this. So I already know what one of the grades are because I saw it when they handed it to me. But I also kind of wanted to make sure it looked like it was my order. I didn't want to just leave there and be like, hey, these aren't the cards I sent in to you. So want to go through these items. I was thinking the majority of these should be at least a 5. I wasn't thinking anything would be less than a 5, or if it was less than a 5, it should be pretty close. So most of them are 68 cards, 1968 cards. There's a couple of 1965 cards in here, a couple key rookies. So enough of the backstory here. Let me jump into it and show you what we got. So as you can see, the first card here, 1968 Topps Johnny Bench rookie with Ron Tompkins as well. You can see in the backside, right? You can see already, like, the centering is off-centered, and there's a slight, you know, it's very narrow here, and it gets wider up here, so the back is a little crooked. But everything else is pretty nice as far as the corners go. No real wear and tear. There is some staining going on here. Again, I'm trying to show you guys that, like, some slight staining on the backside. So what the grade I got was a 3. Nuts. All right, so I was like, if you look at it, it looks pretty good. There's no there's no surface issues, and the corners are pretty solid, right? Slightly soft, but like there's like a little tipped corner, and the centering's not. I knew the centering was going to be an issue, but I was hoping more than a 3. I was hoping that this would be a 4. I don't know, and the centering is really thin down here, but I don't know if this would be worth, like, who is it? Ken's cards? Is that, maybe I'll give you a chance here. Like, I don't know if it would be worth, if someone knows how to, like, to clean up the back, maybe. Like, it's probably more surface related that it got the 3 than anything. So maybe if this was, like, maybe because there's some stains, like there's a stain here, there's a stain over here. Like, if you could clean up those stains, and like there's a stain right there, maybe if you clean those stains up, this would get like a 5. Maybe you can move it from a 3 to a 5. And that would be worthwhile. That would be worth it if you knew how to do it. But I'm too chicken to mess around with that. And I'd rather, if I did it, I'd probably bring it from a 3 to a 1, because I'd probably ruin the card. But, you know, but that, it could be a good candidate for it, because the condition itself it's a good condition card. It just has some probably surface issues, which why I got the 3. So a little below what I was expecting there for that, but still solid. I mean, at a 3, this is probably $150 card. If I sold it raw, probably could have got 200, you know, 150 to 200 on it. So did this add value? Probably not. Getting it graded probably didn't add value to that card. So that one, kind of chalk that up as a loss. But now you got the Mickey Mantle, same year, 1968. Again, look at the back. Like, it's pretty solid for centering on the back. The corners are pretty nice. This is a little tipped corner, but still pretty sweet as far as the corners go, and a lot less surface issues, like no staining on the back. So this should be a better grade. A 6. Nice. All right, I will take a 6 on that. That is good. So get the EX to near mint condition here. And I like that. I'd agree. I mean, if you look at it, like, here's the surface of the card. No real surface issues here. The centering is pretty solid, you know? So definitely, there you go. That gives you a better sense of the surface, right? No real issues. I mean, it's just a little soft on the edges. Like, the edges are just like a little bit soft. So when you touch the card, you can kind of feel it. But the eye appeal is really nice. This is a real nice eye appeal. So that definitely, this becoming a 6 definitely adds value than selling it raw. Now that becomes more like a $500 card or so, maybe even $600, depending on what you can do with it. But that is pretty sweet. All right, this is the big one. Should I save this one to the end? Nah, we'll do it now. We'll do it now. All right, so this is the Nolan Ryan rookie card. And again, you can see the centering is off, right? So I knew that was going to be the case. But if you look at, like, again, the condition of this card is pretty solid. Now, mind you, you have to understand where this card was, right? It's from a guy who collected cards, who was from an era where, you know, you obviously wanted to keep the cards pristine, but he got these as kids. Like, when you had baseball cards as kids, like, it was very rare that you just put them in a binder and left them, right? They're playing with them, they're throwing them, they're putting them in bike spokes, like, they're writing all over them if the guy gets traded. Like, there was no real sense of, like, hey, these are going to be valuable one day. Very rare and very valuable one day, right? It was just a baseball card. It's kind of like the way we treat baseball cards today. Like, if someone gave you a card of 2025 Topps, you're not going to treat it with, like, the utmost care unless it was like a 1 of 1. But if it's a base card, you don't care about it. And that's the same mentality they had back then. So the fact that this made it from 1968 to here in this condition, pretty remarkable. So what do we get as a grade? A 5. Nice. That is exactly what I was hoping it would be. Dreams of being a 6, but that would have been being pretty greedy. But you can see, like, the centering on the front is pretty solid, and there's no stains, right? But I knew it would be a 5 just because, again, like, when you hold the card, you can tell, like, it has some softness to it. It's not like a firm, like, fresh pack card. Like, even that corner, you can see it's like a little fuzzy, everything else. But getting a 5 for this was exactly what I was hoping for. Now that makes it, because if I sold this card raw, like, people were offering me $600, $700 for this card raw, and I knew it was in better shape than what people were offering me for. And even getting like $900 for it raw would have been, like, probably the most I could have done. But now, with it being a 5 and in this case holder, I could probably get $1,400 for that card, and that was the goal. So, like, that was this by itself. I don't care what the rest of the grades are. Well, I do, but this by itself made the grading worth it, right? Paying the $154 to get all these $154 to get all these cards graded, and now getting a 5 boosted this value up of this raw card up almost $500. So that was worth it in and of itself. But here, we'll move that over to there, make sure it's still in frame, and the mantle moves over there. So these two outpaced this one got exactly what I thought. This one was better than what I thought it was going to get, and that one was under what I thought it was going to get. So now let's go to the Hank Aaron one. This is the 68 Topps. So I got a couple of Hank Aaron's. The 65 Topps is actually the one I really want to see. But this is the 68 Topps Aaron. Again, same situation here. The corner, if I can show you, that one's a little soft, right? The centering was off a little bit, but no real markings that I saw, right? So I figured the shape of this was pretty solid, and my goal for these were to get all, like, just 5s across the board if I could. So this one was a 4.5. All right, so that's basically there. So there must be some little blip that kind of brought it down that half ranking. But I mean, if you look at it, like, I'm looking at, trying to give you guys a sense of the surface. You know, I know it's hard with the glare and everything, but the surface is pretty solid. I think there's some slight staining here in the corner. It's hard to see, but I think there's like a slight little issue here with the corners. But, you know, the centering itself is off, right? It's heavier on this side, and then even on the top to bottom, it's a little off-centered. So centering, I knew wasn't going to be great. A little slightly soft corners, not rounded corners, but soft corners. And but overall, pretty solid. So that one's spot on to what I thought it was going to be, maybe slightly lower, but still what I was hoping for. So that's good. So this one hits what I was expecting, and then over under. So right now I'm averaging out expectations, which is good. This one you can tell was, I mean, you can tell right off the bat if you compare the backside centering, right? this is way off centered on the backside. So this one is going to be tough. And then this corner too, I think was a little bit rougher than I thought. So like maybe there's some white around the borders. But again, Roberto Clemente, it's in good enough shape. Centering is off, but I wanted to get it graded because I figured it would just add value just to have the grade versus trying to sell this raw. So this one, I mean, condition-wise, this corner's a little banged up too. Yeah, you can see that tip corner right there. So condition-wise, I was hoping for a 5, possibly a 4, 3.5. Yeah, I mean, even the front is way off-centered. So that it makes sense. Like, I am not looking at this grade going, how the hell did they come up with this? Like, it makes sense. I was just kind of hoping maybe for some leniency. Give me that extra half grade and make it a 4. Is kind of what I was hoping for there. But, you know, but it was a little lower than I expected. So so far, a couple little lower than I expected. All right, move that over expectations, met expectations, and then under expectations. And we'll do a quick recap there. All right, so Ernie Banks. So this one's like a $50 card raw, but I thought the condition of this card was really good. I mean, look at the back. Centering is good, way better than the Clemente. No surface issues that I could really see other than a scratch on the, so there's a scratch on there, on the plastic, but not on the card. And then even like this isn't faded at all. Like the ink is pretty good. So the slight tip there in the corners, but this is solid. Like I was expecting a good grade. I was expecting 6 or better for this one. 7. All right. I mean, look at that. Look at that front too. Like that's a solid front. Picture's clean. No real issues. I mean, 7's great. I mean, honestly, could have gotten an 8. Maybe if I sent it to PSA, it would have gotten like an 8. But this is good. So this is that was definitely a little better than I was anticipating. I was thinking 6, just because again, given the year and everything else and all that stuff. See, I got 2 more cards to go. So that is exceeding expectations. So that brings it up to like, maybe brings it from a $50 card to $100 or $125 card. So again, there's added value now of getting it graded, right? I can add $50 to $75 more to that card for getting it graded. And maybe what I can do as a follow-up, if I am going to try and post these, I'm going to put them on, there's a Facebook marketplace, like a vintage Facebook marketplace that I think I'm going to try and post these on. So I'll try and I'll try and make it fair value as far as what I believe it should be based off comps, but maybe I can do a recap just to kind of show what I ended up selling it for. But in any case, that is excellent for the Banks. Now this is the card I'm really excited for. Like, well, as far as like what I thought it could grade out, because I have where is it? Actually, let me pause the video for a second. All right, and I'm back. So I had gotten these cards graded before. So in looking at like what made these a 4 and everything else, like I had this card as a kid and not as a kid, like, but this was one of like the first ones that I had like when I was growing up, like, and so like once I started getting back in the hobby, I was like, all right, I just got to preserve this card. So I wasn't grading this card because I thought it was going to grade something high. I got it graded because I wanted to preserve the condition it was currently in. And even still, like a 4, I think is pretty generous because I think it has a slight crease right here, which if you can kind of see that off the reflection, if you can see that crease right there. But even if you look at this, like the centering's off, and then look at the back side of this, like it's faded, the coloring's faded. And then you look at this one, like the color's true, the centering's better here, right? And just everything about this card looked way better than this. And I said, and I thought, well, if this got a 4, certainly this one with better centering, better condition on the corners and the edges, no real markings, like some slight markings on the card, should get a 6. I was thinking it should get a 6. So that's why I wanted to send this card in, because I thought this had a really good chance of getting a high grade. And a 7, near mint, yes, absolutely. So if you look at that, right, look at that centering, like this one's way better centered. Even the front side, this coloring is a little bit off compared to this one. This one's much sharper on the color and everything else. One guy who came and looked at some of the cards I was buying, and looking at this card before I got it graded, I was going to try and sell it to him all raw, but he said, "Oh, it's not going to get a high grade because it has that circle on it, right?" And I think there was like maybe another one like right there. So he said like those are going to bring it down a lot. And it's possible, like maybe this could have been an 8 because it has that. They made it a 7. But the fact that like I knew it was going to be a 6 or better, like the guy was thinking it was going to bring it down to like a 5. I was like, there's no way, like with the condition of this card and the centering and how sharp it is, like it would be anything less than a 6. So the fact that it got a 7 is pretty good. This, you know, there's some white showing here on that corner, right? So I'm sure if that was cleaned up, that would be make it even better. But this is a sharp card, like so that exceeded the grade I was hoping for. I was hoping for a 6, got a 7 there. So a couple cards exceeding expectations at the moment. And then the last card I got is Roberto Clemente 1965 Topps. So again, you get one of these little, I don't know if the camera can focus on that, one of those little circles on the card, like so there's that issue there. There is some slight marking. There is some staining here. I don't know if you can see that. It's hard with the shadow, but like if you can see, like it looks like there's a shadow. There's no shadow right there. That's just like a slight stain. So this was tough because it had that surface stain. And again, maybe if Ken's cards, if you want to take this from me and buy it from me and then clean it up, whatever the grade is, maybe it increases the grade. But like everything else is sharp. Centering is good. Slight tip corners, but I was hoping for a 5 or a 6. I wasn't quite sure what it would come back at. So 6.5, nice. Oh, it has a piece of fur from my dog. So that's good. So that, but again, it has that again another little circle there. So there's some issues with it as far as there. The centering, as you can tell, is not great, right? Off on the centering, but the condition itself is it's a great condition card for a 1965 card. Just being in the shape it's in, it's in really great shape. I think the 6.5 being EX is more or less from that and this stain. If that stain wasn't there, I think this becomes a 7. But you got like a couple of the little circles there. If those weren't in the picture, man, you'd probably be looking at like a maybe 7.5. Just you can't with the centering, you can't get it better than that. I mean, like the centering is not going to allow you to give it more than an 8, I don't think. But still a better grade than I was expecting. So in all, let's do a quick recap. What didn't exceed expectations? I was hoping for, this bench got a 3. I was hoping for a 4 or a 5 with the bench. So that one didn't meet expectations, but you can see that the centering isn't that great. There is staining on the back. It's not as sharp, but it was the best. But he had a couple of bench rookies, and this was the best one. So if this was a 3, that means the other ones were probably 2s or 2.5s. So this was definitely the better of the bench cards he had. So, but that's just a little disappointing, but understandable. Same thing here with the Clemente. I thought I was going to get a better grade with that one. Maybe 4, possibly 5, but 3.5 isn't horribly off of what I was expecting, but still was hoping for something a little bit better. But you can tell off-centered, way off-centered on this one. But everything else is pretty sharp, like the coloring and all that stuff is still pretty sharp. But nice enough nonetheless. What met expectations? right? This Ryan card, again, this was the best Ryan card, and even here you can see like it has a little rough line. It's not straight. But even this card was probably the best one out of all of them. I probably could have sent them all of them to get graded, to tell you the truth, but I saw he had 7. I think he had 7 Ryan rookies, and this is the one I kept and got it graded, and happy I did, because this is definitely I think the best of the group, and that's like a $1,400 card that way. This one met expectations too. I was hoping for 4.5 is close enough. You know, again, just slightly off from the centering and maybe some slight staining, things like that. But that met expectations. What exceeded expectations, right? I was hoping for like a 6, maybe a 5 to a 6, and I got a 6.5 there, so that's nice. Mantle, again, thinking it was going to get a 5, got a 6. So that is also very nice and boosts the value a little bit more. And then the 2 ones that really exceeded expectations, I thought they can get a 6, but the fact they got a 7 is pretty cool. And again, they probably could have, you know, gotten a little bit higher if they didn't have some of those like little circles on them and everything else. But man, I can't complain about it. That's just being nitpicky at this point. These are excellent cards, really, really nice cards. And certainly, if anybody putting those sets together, these would make a nice addition to anyone building graded sets. So that's it. So that was the 8 cards I had graded. Couple of Aarons, couple of Clementes, couple of key rookies, and then of course iconic Hall of Fame players and Mickey Mantle. So that is that. So hopefully I'm hoping to sell these cards, get a nice return on the investment. Thanks to Card Vault. I mean, that was awesome to deal with, very easy to deal with. I mean, the time is what the time is. They can't help how fast SGC is, and they can't make them go any quicker. So, and I certainly couldn't if I was doing it on my own. So the time is what it is, but the ease of it, I went there, I paid them straight $19 per card, paid for it the day of. They kept track of the order. They sent it, they shipped it, they called me when it was back. I went to the store, picked it up, and that was it. So a really easy process and relatively inexpensive from my end. I think it probably would have been more for me if I did it on my own and had to pay just this flat rate, but then pay for shipping and then pay for return shipping as well. That definitely would have added to the expense of everything. So not bad at all. So check it out. If you're in the area, if you're in the Northeast area and you're near a Card Vault, check that out, check that service out. But I'm sure there's other stores too that do it for you. I'm sure you guys have local stores around you that will send them out for you. Maybe worth exploring just as a nice cost-effective option. And you know what? I was definitely happy with the result I got here. So no bad things to say about SGC today. Maybe a future video, we'll see. But all right, hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to be making some videos soon. But like I said, I'll be shipping all this stuff out, selling a bunch of stuff. So once I clear out a lot of inventory, then I'll turn around and start buying up stuff again and posting more videos. Till then, guys, see ya.